Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
You're watching.
We're watching. You're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy. Fanboy.
Fanboy.
Fanboy.
Fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot. I assume Tom.
The first time I had a chance to speak with this man, his series Iyanu was in its second book release, and now here we are a handful of years later talking about not only the animated series, but also an animated feature. Today I have Nigerian filmmaker Roye Okupe with me talking about Iyanu, Child of Wonder. Congratulations on all your success. It's very well earned.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be back here. Just a quick correction. So the graphic novel is called Iyanu, Child of Wonder, and then the animated series is just Iyanu. Just wanted to make sure people got that differentiator.
Thank you so much. So you can see how excited I am and happy for you to talk to you again after all this time, that I'm blending everything together and just being a motorman.
It's all good. It's all good.
But listen, congratulations, from graphic novel to series, that's now streaming on Max and Cartoon Network. Like, it's got to be a dream come true.
Absolutely, man. I always try to in as many interviews just remind people that honestly I feel like one of the luckiest guys in the world. Look, it takes a lot to be able to go from having something you conceive in your head as an idea for a story. Takes a lot to even get it done as a graphic novel, and then to take that leap from page to screen, it takes even another astronomical effort from not just myself, from different people and different things, happening at the right time in the right places. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about just the opportunity to get to continue to create and expand this world, and just seeing just how much people love the stories is really humbling.
Last time we talked, I said you are living the American dream by being able to come here and do the comic book thing. And now here we are, even more so. You've done the Hollywood thing, and it's got to be the ultimate dream come true.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been a dream of mine pretty much my entire life. I mean, I grew up like many people who probably listening, watching all the superhero animated shows, all the action adventure cartoons. I grew up in the 80s, so I was 80s/90s kid. So, Static Shock, Batman, Superman, Transformers, Ninja Turtles. These are things that I fell in love right from when I was a kid. So to be able to go from being a fan of that kind of work to then creating something that obviously lives in the same space. Talking about Cartoon Network, I grew up on that channel. Literally grew up in front of the TV watching Cartoon Network, and to be able to create a show for that same network that sort of shaped me as a kid is nothing short but of amazing.
And now you're also working with Lion Forge Entertainment, and you've worked
Absolutely.
with Dark Horse. I mean, everything is just falling into place. So the joy is there on my half as a fan of yours, and now just seeing you and being still as humble as ever, and yet pushing forward in your excitement is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, it only took me a couple of decades to be an overnight success, right? So it's been a very long journey. I'm not even going to lie. There's been a lot of challenges along the way. There's been many times I've wanted to just pack it up and just be like, what, this isn't for me. But I'm glad you mentioned, the likes of Dark Horse, who I signed a 20-book deal with a few years ago, and obviously Lion Forge, the producers and financiers of Iyanu as well. These are organizations that I think found me at the right time. These are organizations that believed in me and gave me the resources I needed to tell the stories my way, and surrounded me with the right people and the right structure to be able to tell a fantastic story, first in the graphic novel medium, and then going on into animation, being able to then take it to the next level.
And the beautiful thing is that you took your time to get there. You didn't take shortcuts and then have people steal your ideas and your soul while doing so.
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel very lucky to be in the position that I am. I always try to do things the right way, and it's not just in my career, in terms of what I do with my stories and my books and the stuff that I'm producing now for animation. I think I've always tried to do the right thing at the right time. I've always tried to exercise patience and humility. And I think those things pay off in the long run. It may not necessarily get the results you want quickly. But I was raised to always be, humble. I was raised to always treat people with decency. I was raised to always treat people the way you wanted to be treated. And I was also raised to have patience and continue to work hard, put in the work. And I strongly believe for more often than not, honestly, maybe not all the time, but more often than not, that if you keep doing something consistently enough and you apply yourself and you give everything that you can, I think life will give you an opportunity to give you a door. And it's then up to you to be able to be prepared for that opportunity and walk through that door. So to me, my opportunity came with Dark Horse and eventually Lion Forge. And I had spent up until that point, I spent a decade preparing for that opportunity, and I was lucky enough to get it, and then also be able to use what I've built my entire career to be able to find success.
I know the last time we joked about, living this American dream and becoming an artist, and then in West Africa and the Middle East and other places, you have to get your master's degree in something first before your family lets you follow the dream.
Yep,
When
yep.
the book hit, there was obvious excitement, but
Hmm.
now that, television and film are coming about, what's it like talking to family back home and they see what it's like for you now in comparison to being the 10-year-old that was dreaming in front of the TV?
Yeah, I mean, I think my family has always supported me. I think my parents, yes, we do joke as Africans that look, you either have to be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, or an architect, right? And I think our parents just do it because they want us to have a good life, right? I was lucky enough for my parents to say, look, once you get out of college, just get your degree. After that, at least you have a backup. But my parents were very supportive. So even now that it's not only here in the US, obviously on Cartoon Network, it's on Showmax in Africa currently, streaming on in 44 African countries, and the show actually debuted as the number one kids show on the continent. So that was a big thing. And it was really rewarding to be able to not only have the success here, but also back home from where I'm from, for people to be able to see it's there and to embrace it, so well.
Right. The beautiful part about this story is that yes, it takes place in Africa, but the concepts and everything are international. It's not
Yes.
something that is just 100% centralized
Hmm.
to West Africa.
Hmm.
How important was that to share stories like this for an international audience as well?
I mean, yeah, it was really crucial to be able to be authentic to Nigerian culture, specifically Yoruba culture, which is what is the show is inspired by. But at the same time, I've always told people like Iyanu is for everyone. I grew up loving characters like Spider-Man, not because they were from America, but because I found, ways that I could see myself in those type of characters. Peter Parker was getting bullied at school and he wanted to do something about it. Like I resonated with that. Uh, so I think for us, as much as we're very authentic and we take the authenticity of the culture very serious, there's a lot of universal themes that are inserted into the story. There's a lot of things that character-wise, we are very, very happy with the way people are raised. People from all over the world are resonating with the different characters because they see themselves, in these characters as well. So yeah, Iyanu is a show that's very, very specific to Nigerian and Yoruba culture specifically, but it's definitely created for a global audience.
And the fact that it's resonated across the world and
Hmm.
not just in the country of origin, or the culture of origin, it has to be something that has to resonate and say, I've done something right and I've been able to touch people beyond what they expected only for something that would take place in these, 1,500 miles.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think, people just resonate with great characters. I think it's again, I don't want to sound like, authenticity and diversity and these things are not important. They're very important. It's one of the reasons why I started my career actually. But at the same time, you never want to get so lost in that you forget the most important thing, which is character and story, right? You create at the end of the day, you want to create, characters that don't feel generic. You want to create characters that, evoke emotion. You want to create characters that people want to laugh with, people want to cry with, people want to root for or root against. These are very primal um, you know, feelings and emotions. Like, storytelling goes back to, the beginning of time when people were telling, stories, as human beings develop. Like storytelling is something that's just so it's so ingratiated in community. And for me, it's never about reinventing the wheel or trying so hard to do something where it's like, oh, this has to be so different. Like again, it's just about really just going back to character. And I feel like once people can fall in love with your characters, it really doesn't matter where they come from. They just want to be able to see people that they can resonate with.
And then, last month at San Diego Comic-Con, there was yet another panel for you. What's the
Yeah.
excitement like being on that panel and now in a bigger room instead of just being for the graphic novel? Here's the TV show and the upcoming film. Like, how's that feel to be on that side of the table instead of being in the audience for a change?
I mean, it's amazing. It's also really rewarding to get to interact with fans who have actually now watched the show. Also like even bonus points, like people that have read the book and watched the show. It's good to be able to talk to people to see how they're reacting to it, and it's also good to share the stage with all of my other colleagues who've helped bring this to life. So people like Vincent Edwards, who's our supervising director, or Brandon Easton, who is our story editor, or Kerry Grant, who was one of the fantastic writers we had in the writers' room as well. So being able to be on a panel with, people that you've worked with for so long, people that you trust, people that have helped you become a better creator is it's rewarding in it of itself. And then obviously, yes, getting to interact with the fans and see what people are feeling about the show is also really, really cool as well.
I haven't talked to Brendan in a while, so I'm thrilled to see that everything's working out for him. I mean, from
Yeah,
Transformers to
yeah.
television to mass to everything that's
hmm
going on now. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. When you find the right team, how much easier does it make the work for you, in regards to being able to just sit down and make sure everything flows properly? And obviously, there's going to be some tension and butting heads because you see it one way, someone else will see it another way. One thing made sense in the book, a different version
hmm
is going to make a little more sense in animation, and finding
hmm
that balance to make sure that it moves smoothly through those rough patches.
I think the thing that works for us is that everybody, really believed in the project. Everybody really actually cares about the show, and everybody wants to. Again, this is just my personal experience on Iyanu. Everybody wanted to do what was best for the show. I think when you lead from that point of view, it's easy to overcome the eventual, disagreements you're going to have with people because, you know, creative people all come from different walks of life, right? People see things differently. But at the end of the day, when people can come together with one ultimate goal to do what's best for the actual project, those things the back and forth gets a little bit easy. No, actually not a little bit. It actually becomes a lot easier because you more often than not you find objective ways to say, okay, here's your opinion, here's my opinion, here's this person's opinion. But objectively, guys, what out of all these opinions is going to actually be the best thing for Iyanu? And I think once everybody's thinking from that perspective, because there's a lot of ego in this industry, right? And some of it is warranted. Like, everybody that creates has a sense of protection in terms of what they're creating or what they want to input. And, I don't necessarily look at ego as a bad thing until it starts to be put front and center above everything else. I think it's appropriate to have a certain level where it's driven more from like passion for what it is that you're trying to create. But I think the best creators and the best collaborators know when to put that in the back burner in service of the greater good. And I think that's where you want to really strike the balance. So I think for me personally, with the team I was surrounded with, I think that was our approach is that, let's bring all the ideas to the table. But at the end of the day, let's do what's best for the show. And I think, another thing that helps too was, it's also good to have source material because there's a reason why the source material is being adapted. It's because people are falling in love with certain things. So it's easier to say, hey guys, we're starting to move away from some of the things that we all love about this book. So let's sort of like reel that back in. So that's also very helpful when there is a Bible, so to speak, to always refer back to and say, hey guys, are we going off track? So I think I say all that to say, try and find good people to work with, because they make life so much easier for you.
Right. What would you like to tell the people that haven't read the books yet and why they should? And they should definitely not be sleeping on this, and especially with your company, Unique. And
Yeah.
then for those that haven't caught on yet to the series, and luckily they can stream it from the beginning on HBO Max,
Yeah.
why they need to sit down and watch the animated series.
I think in both cases, the book and the animated series, and I say this without sound, I know it's going to sound like cliche, but you really haven't seen anything like Iyanu before. For those that don't know, it's a story about a teenage orphan girl who, loses all her memories, and then she immediately also then realizes that she has the powers that rival the gods of the land, and it's only these powers that can help save the entirety of the world. In our case, Yorubaland, from what we call the corrupt. The corrupt are essentially all the animals of Yorubaland, who have gone berserk. They have glowing red eyes and have one mission only, which is to eradicate the extinction of humanity. But where the story gets interesting is that Iyanu obviously discovers these powers, but she's not heralded as a hero, as a god or a deity or anything. She's actually exiled, because people fear, they fear the emergence of magic, because magic has sort of been absent for centuries. And Iyanu is then put in this very weird situation where she has these powers and she now has to decide, do I want to use it to just continue to improve just myself and just my circumstance and situation, or do I want to use this power for the betterment of everybody, which also includes people that don't necessarily like me? And I think it then falls to the central theme around the story, which is empathy. And I feel like the best of heroes are the ones that can put their life on the line, not just for people that celebrate them, but for people that don't necessarily like them or even agree with anything that has to do with them as well. So, in a nutshell, that's really what the story is about. But then the background of it is, we explore so many cultural authentic things that have to do with Yoruba land. You're going to see a place, a world that you've never seen it before. You're going to see gorgeous landscapes, gorgeous set pieces. And then even things as little as the fighting styles, like we use capoeira instead of Kung Fu, which is something that you would expect in an action adventure show. And the reason behind that is because a lot of people don't know that, capoeira originated in Africa and it was shipped over with the slaves as well. So these are little things here and there that we've sort of incorporated to really make this different and really make this like something you've actually never seen before. So from the story to the look of the show, to the way the characters talk, we had an all African cast, to how they dress, to how they speak, to the way they carry themselves. The humor of the show is different. Again, like I said, the fighting style. You bring all of these things together, and then it then forms what obviously we have come to call Iyanu. But I think, for me on a deeper level, it's truly something unique. It's truly something that you've never seen before. And all I need you to do is check out the first episode. Like honestly, like if you check it out the first episode and you don't want to keep going, then by all means stop. But I think once you check out the first episode, you'll be more than happy to know that this is something that's right within your wheelhouse. And plus, if you like stuff like Avatar or Dragon Prince, like this show is right up your alley as well too.
Roy, before I let you go, I'm first generation American. You're living the American dream as an immigrant. What would you like to tell people like myself and yourself that are one step removed from the old world in regards to following their dreams instead of just going to engineering school, like how our families always want them to go?
Wow, that's a good question. I think, I think it's important to believe in yourself first and foremost. It's nobody's responsibility to believe in you. That's I think that is a delusion that some people have. No one's going to believe in you like you believe in yourself. So I think it starts with self-belief. And I think it also then goes on to I think I'll also go on to say that you have to define your own version of success. Everybody's version of success is going to be different because everybody has different backgrounds, different places that they were born, that they grew up, things that they like, they don't like. So define your version of success. and ensure that you define it in a way where it's something that brings you joy, right? Try not to think about it too much from the financial aspect. Um, Obviously, you do want to make money for your craft from your craft, but try not to focus too much on that and just focus on what is it that brings me joy from creating or thinking about this dream, and then attacking it from that angle, and never give up. And don't be ashamed or afraid to have a 9 to 5 while you're trying to figure out your dream. That was one thing that it took me a while to really, really accept that, look, it's okay to work a full-time job while you're trying to figure out what you're doing with your dream. And there's no shame in want to provide for yourself and your family. So if you need to do that while you're figuring out, by all means, go ahead and do it. And take advantage of today's technology, right? Like social media and all these different things that are out there now. I've sort of leveled the playing field a little bit. So the world is there for you. The ball is in your court. So go ahead and don't be afraid to fail. Just go out there, do your thing. And if you fail, learn from it and iterate and move on.
Roye Okupe, Unique Studios, congratulations on Anayu, the series, the graphic novels, everything, and all the success that you've earned and you've deserved. I am thrilled to be chatting with you again. Let's not make it another 3 or 4 years. Let's do this much sooner again, my friend.
No problem. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
God bless you, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you.